Hello and welcome. I'm Maria Ressa. Technology rules our world more and more, and you can see that in 2014's top stories and moods determined by you, the readers and viewers of Rappler. What's clear is that social media is empowering citizens around the world, accelerating the quick pace of change in public opinion, and driving real-world action. In the Philippines, #MillionPeople March in 2013 pushed anti-corruption issues front and center, and in 2014, President Aquino's ratings dropped to its lowest after he defended his disbursement acceleration program. Soon after, the Supreme Court declares parts of that program unconstitutional. Mood meter, 74% happy.
Ganong property yan binubuo ng 35 hektaryang lupain. 350 hectares. Yung pong Luneta, meron po yung 58 hectares pag ginugel din nyo. Katumbos po yan ng 6 na Luneta. Meron ho dyang air-conditioned piggery na 20 bahay. Meron pong mansion with British Palace Garden.
Corruption charges hound Vice President Jejomar Binay, the frontrunner for the 2016 presidential elections. Charges from a close aide reopens old wounds and after a few months, topples Binay as the most popular official in the Philippines. Mood meter, 93% angry. For 2 months, teenagers led tens of thousands in the strongest challenge to China's dictatorial rule over Hong Kong. Every social movement has seen a technological breakthrough to spread the word. The London riots were partially organized on BlackBerry, the Arab Spring on Twitter, Turkish protesters on VPN, and in Hong Kong, OTT apps like Snapchat and FireChat, which allows communications even without Wi-Fi or a service provider. Although police arrested and dispersed protesters, don't expect this to go away anytime soon. Mood meter, 40% happy, 30% inspired. Indonesia saw its first social media-influenced presidential elections between a member of the old guard, Prabowo, a former general and son-in-law of Suharto, and the first challenger to the political elite, Joko Widodo. Jokowi's victory closes an era of Indonesia's democratic transition that began in 1998. One of Jokowi's first moves is to ask Indonesia's 250 million people for help in choosing his cabinet. Where did he do it? On Facebook. Mood meter, 75% happy. Typhoon Glenda, known internationally as Ramasun, intensifies as it moves closer to the Bicol Samar area. Social media also plays a role in disaster risk reduction. Working with government, NGOs, and volunteers, Project Agos, in partnership with the Australian Embassy in Manila, bridges top-down government workflows with bottom-up civic engagement through a digital platform that would have never been possible a few years ago. This is what the crowd can do. Real-time reporting of information and calls for help on social media, answered by the government, the Red Cross, and volunteers here and around the world. Mood meter, 100% inspired. This cell phone has as much computing power as a supercomputer that took up a city block in New York City in the late 80s. Much of the change around us is being fueled by this idea of Moore's Law, that the amount of computing power on a chip doubles every 18 months. As early as 2011, analysts said that within a decade, nearly 40% of the Fortune 500 companies would no longer survive. No company represents disruptive change more than Uber, which hit the headlines this year in numerous ways, from its $40 billion valuation to the arrogance of some executives to legal actions leading to countries banning it. It's the old fighting the new. Mood meter, 60% inspired, 40% amused. Whether you call them ISIS, ISIL, or the Islamic State, this may now be the world's most powerful terrorist group, eclipsing Al-Qaeda in terms of land it controls, and its members recruit and spread their virulent ideology on social media. Analysts say more than 15,000 foreign fighters from more than 80 countries are in Syria. One of the most influential on Twitter is Australian Musa Serantonio, who was deported from the Philippines this year. It's still unclear exactly what pledges like this from an Abu Sayyaf leader means, but authorities are watching closely. Mood meter, 61% angry, 23% afraid. Entertainment meets foreign policy and international relations after Sony Pictures was hacked, releasing a treasure trove of gossip and Hollywood trivia. The U.S. called it a national security breach. After threats of another 9/11, Sony pulled the release of the Kim Jong-un parody, a decision it later reversed. Perhaps not so coincidentally, North Korea's internet goes down soon after. Mood meter, 57% angry. – 2014 was also a year that showed the limits of technology and innovation. Malaysia Airlines makes headlines for all the wrong reasons. In March, MH370 with 239 on board vanishes during a routine flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, showing the failure of technology to find a plane. In July, MH17 with 290 people on board is shot down over eastern Ukraine, allegedly by separatist fighters backed by Russia. There were no survivors. Mood meter, 69% angry, 31% sad. A few cases of Ebola in Guinea sparks the deadliest outbreak of Ebola on record. The virus spread throughout West Africa, jumping to countries in Europe and the United States. More than 5,000 people died from Ebola this year. Mood meter, 50% afraid, 50% sad.
The dead poets were dedicated to sucking the marrow out of life.
The suicide of 63-year-old Oscar-winning actor Robin Williams shocks the world. The man whose comic genius made so many laugh constantly battled depression and substance abuse. After his death, his family reveals he was also in the early stages of Parkinson's disease. Mood meter, 93% sad.
It is a myth that rape is an inevitable part of conflict.
Men, I would like to take this opportunity to extend your formal invitation. Gender equality is your issue too.
Celebrities also spike new life into causes. Angelina Jolie teams up with the British and Australian governments to reinvigorate a global campaign to end sexual violence against women in conflict, while Emma Watson picks up the cudgels for gender equality at the UN. Mood meter, 78% inspired. What else inspired this year? When European probe Philae lands on a comet, making space history. Mood meter, 58% inspired, 37% happy. Finally, let's go back to the Philippines, where SurePass, which creates digital services for mobile, lists on the Philippine Stock Exchange in December. Oversubscribed, its shares leaps 50% on the first day. CEO Nix Noliedo, also a member of Rappler's board, says, "Today is a victory for all technology startups in the Philippines." Mood meter, 70% inspired, 20% happy. Let's end with the story that's gotten the second largest number of votes in 2014, New Year's resolutions courtesy of Pope Francis, sealed in 10 memorable quotes. As the Philippines prepares for the Pope's visit in January, Rappler gives you Pope Francis in the age of Twitter, the Pope in 140. Mood meter, 74% inspired. 2014 has been a year of disruption, but this is only the beginning. Expect technology to ripple further across industries, to change ideas and challenge values even more in the coming year. Rappler will be with you every step of the way as we try to make sense of our quickly changing world. I'm Maria Ressa. From me and the Rappler team, thank you for joining us in 2014, and we'll be with you in 2015. Happy New Year.